there, Peter from Universal Dork back again. Today covering another trapped on VHS gem, at least in my opinion. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Wheels of Terror from 1990, which I think is a great addition to the road horror genre. Definitely a genre of horror that I really love. There's some great movies that fit into this category. Duel, I think that was Spielberg's first movie. If you've never seen Duel, you've got to check that out. Joyride, which is a great, I think, Y2K horror film. That's one of my favorites. The Car, that's a 70s one. The Car actually has a vehicle in it that looks very similar to the one in Wheels of Terror. And, you know, Road Games with Jamie Lee Curtis, that Australian movie, really cool as well. Now, there's a ton of them out there, also like The Hitcher, but this is fitting into that sort of evil car, almost like Maximum Overdrive without the sort of supernatural element going on. Directed by Christopher Kane, who did another pretty good movie called The Principal with James Belushi, the beautiful Rae Dawn Chong, and the late Louis Gossett Jr. Rest in peace. Great cast in The Principal. And just something sort of off topic, but I always like to mention this when I talk about The Principal, is there's a movie called Abraxas that stars Jesse Ventura, the wrestler, and, you know, he was in Predator. He was in The Running Man with Schwarzenegger as well. But The Principal, a little fun fact about that is Belushi appears in that movie very briefly as the same principal from The Principal. So Wheels of Terror was a 1990 made-for-TV movie. Now, it wasn't made for the regular, you know, networks like ABC or NBC. It was actually made for the USA Network. It's rated R, and you can tell that it's covering a lot of topics that would not be allowed on the regular stations back around that time. I got this particular copy from a VHS swap that I did at the store. These guys from Horror Slumber Party. I took it off of their recommendation. You could follow them on Instagram, Horror Slumber Party. Super great page. Tons of really cool, unique VHS that they're always displaying. This particular VHS, I mean, maybe I might need a new copy of it. It says, you know, it's got this writing up here. It's a cut box that's been taped onto this. So it's not the most beautiful to look at. I do love the cover. The ominous car with this cloud with sort of a skull on it. I really like that, but I might need to put this into one of those Anchor Bay cases like I mentioned in that first podcast. It stars Joanna Cassidy. So the second that I saw her, I immediately remembered that she actually stars in Blade Runner. She's one of the replicants. I think her name was Zora, if I'm not mistaken. She's, I think, the first replicant that gets killed by Harrison Ford in that movie. She's got the boa constrictor. So she stars in this movie. She's great in the role here. She's a mom that moves from the big city to the small town. I think it was filmed in Patagonia. She moves to this town thinking that it's going to be peace and quiet, no crime, very safe for her daughter. And boy, is she in for a rude awakening. We can't actually see who's driving the car, but this psychotic person driving this demonic-looking car arrives onto the scene into the town and absolutely traumatizes and terrorizes all of the people in this small town. And the worst thing about it is this person is kidnapping children. Most likely is some psychotic dude, but he's going around, or they're going around and snatching kids directly off the street. He'll pull up, or the car will pull up, the door will swing open, and then you see the kid just immediately gets pulled in. The movie opens with a little girl with her father, and their car's broken down. They're trying to fix it, and this car comes, smashes the guy right off the road. He flies into the air. His daughter's there, and I believe then it's insinuated that he takes the daughter, and then we later see that the daughter is walking on the side of the road with her clothes all messed up, and it's actually a pretty terrifying plot that we have going on here. Now, the thing that makes this film sort of most disturbing and sort of sets it apart from the rest is that the psycho that's driving this vehicle not only kidnaps and kills children, but it's also revealed in a news broadcast pretty early on that this person is also sexually assaulting as well. So we've got a complete psychotic sleazebag on the loose in this small town. The citizens of this place are freaking out. They want answers. They want the cops to do something. And of course, the cops are bumbling fools. They don't know how to handle the situation, and it really ends up being Joanna Cassidy who has to take matters into her own hands. Now, early on, she's driving this school bus around that's been souped up with a race car engine, and this vehicle arrives on the scene behind her. She's driving the kids home, and this car is terrorizing. It comes out of nowhere and terrorizes everyone in the vehicle. She's trying to keep the vehicle in control. This car's trying to run her off the road, and luckily for her, the vehicle decides to split, drives off into the distance, and she's just perplexed on what's going on here. And things don't stop there. This car is driving around the town in broad daylight, and it's a little bit ridiculous that no one is actually noticing this freaky, demonic, I believe, Dodge Charger driving around town in broad daylight, sort of hanging around the school. Seems like this would be an easy catch. And that's one of the things that Wheels of Terror has, is a bit of mystery at its core, because you're wondering, is it maybe someone from the police? Is there some sort of conspiracy going on? Who is this person? So the stakes keep getting higher as more children go missing, and many of them are found dead. And Joanna Cassidy is completely worried at this point that something's going to happen to her daughter. There's some terrifying scenes where in the middle of the night they wake up, get out of bed, the little girl's freaking out, and this goddamn vehicle is driving around outside her house in the middle of a foggy night, pulls up into her driveway, and is sort of taunting her. This psycho is on the loose and is sort of targeting her daughter as well as any of the other little girls in this small town. Well, the worst thing that she could ever imagine happens. And like I said, the stakes are so damn high in this movie because while she's driving the kids home a couple days later, her daughter is indeed right in front of her, kidnapped by this demonic car. And this ignites a chain of events that is one of the most satisfying I've seen in a long time, especially for the road horror genre, because she doesn't have 1 second that she can spare. She has got to save her daughter, and she's got a school bus full of kids. So she takes them along for part of this wild ride. Things go off the rails here. Now, even though this movie's subject matter sounds pretty dark, it's a lot of fun, and it's pretty campy as well. This movie is only 85 minutes long, so it's got a nice lean runtime, and the first hour of this movie, shows the kids getting kidnapped, kind of develops the story, but the last half hour of this is a completely off-the-rails car chase. So she's got her school bus. Luckily, she's got that engine that was installed into it, so she can keep up with this psycho, because if this person escapes her while she's driving this school bus, that is it potentially for her daughter. Her daughter could be killed, or even worse. The tension is so high, you're sweating bullets, wondering if there's any way that she can get her daughter back. Great finale, completely action-packed. It's a long car chase, but she does decide at one point to get out of the car. I won't spoil too much there. This movie is a real gem. I watched it with a group of people last night at the shop here. We put up a huge screen in the background, pulled out the projector, and had a VHS night. Had it pumping through the speakers, and I think that everyone was pretty much on the edge of their seat. Now, there's no gore in this movie. A lot of the stuff is just sort of implied. We don't want to see any of that weird shit going on screen. So just the fact that some of the atrocities here are even implied makes it a really terrifying ride, literally. So on Letterboxd, I saw that this one doesn't really have very many good reviews. I thought that was a little bit weird because to me, this one delivered everything that I wanted. It had great car chases. It had some cool explosions. The stakes, like I said, are super, super high. It's one of those movies where you're really rooting for the protagonist. Joanna Cassidy, a total badass in this movie, taking care of fucking business. So Wheels of Terror is a top-notch pick for me for a movie that deserves a Blu-ray release. I think that this is a pretty affordable VHS as well on eBay, so it's not going to run you too much. Check it out. Highly recommend it.